Mr. Becker and school board members, we are now live on YouTube.
All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first meeting of the new year, our policy committee meeting. We have a couple policies to talk about this evening. The first one is an update to a policy that was approved back in 2015. Policy 011, it's principles of governance and leadership. It's basically a policy on board, and with where this came up is January is School Board Appreciation Month. So my members that are here with me tonight, thank you, and thank you for your service. And when I say service, people don't understand how much time and effort it does take to be a part of this group. There's tremendous amount of time beyond what's live on Facebook. There's all kinds of emails, phone calls, communication back and forth between board members and myself, board members, Mrs. Kreischer, board members, and amongst board members. And it's just a lot of time and effort. So I'd like to thank you with that. Now, with that came up, PSBA has recognized that they have an updated version. The principles of government used to be standards of governance. So on what I'd like to do is have it for our first reading is to update our policy 011 and to show, okay. This is basically the principles of governance, and once we approve this, we'll get a fancy, colorful poster that we can hang in the boardroom and actually has these principles on there. And you know, each one of these principles, as you read through them, I'm really proud to say that we are, if not actively working on these principles, we have worked on them or have talked about them, and they're in our future. So as I read through these, they're very, very applicable to what we're doing already. So as you can see, it says advocate earnestly, the topics lead responsibly, govern effectively, plan thoughtfully, and evaluate continuously, communicate clearly, and act ethically. We have, as I said, these principles changed a little bit from the policy that was adopted in 2000 for the standards, approved in 2015. So this is the first thing that I wanted to bring up and share with everybody and see if anybody had any questions or concerns regarding this policy 011.
The only comment I have is I'd like to add Oxford commas in all the lists of things.
Okay.
I'll mark that for you.
Okay. Yeah. If you
Not changing the content in any way, just
okay.
being consistent. Sometimes there's Oxford commas in this given policy, and sometimes there's not.
Okay.
And we should always default to more.
All right. No problem with that. Okay, so that'll be on the agenda for Monday, the 18th, or excuse me, Thursday, the 21st, right? 21st is our next board meeting. So that's because of school being off next week, the 18th, we have moved that meeting to the 21st. Next policies kind of go together. Back in early November, PA Senate Bill 530 signed into law. Basically talks about students that may be convicted or adjudicated adjudicated delinquent of sexual assault against another student enrolled in the school. So basically, that bill says the school needs to provide separation between the adjudicated delinquent and the victim. So policy 218.3, which would be a new policy, basically outlines what we need to do in that case. And basically, it gives you definitions. It talks about how if you have two students that are in the same building, can't be in the same building, can't be on the same activities, extracurricular activities, they can't be riding the same school bus together. So there's some things in here that gives you direction on how to handle this, even up to expulsion of the adjudicated delinquent. This would be a brand new policy to our policy manual, 218.3. Anybody have any questions or concerns regarding this? Seems kind of like a good policy to have. Something in writing, something that gives us guidance to, if this issue comes up, this is how we can do it. It's very policy. Okay, the next two policies kind of go along now. We just approved back in November policy 103 and policy 252 regarding they're in the Title IX documents that we approved, policies that we approved. Because of policy 213 coming in and the the new law, these policy 103 and policy 252 needed to be changed. Now, on these, as you can see, I have to add some of the check marks and add the names at the bottom. We add the name for our Title IX coordinator, that's Ms. Zygmunt. So there's some things I need to do, but basically the updates have to be, again, regarding the adjudicated delinquent of a sexual assault and the victim, keeping them separate. And the same with 252, which is dating violence. All this would be part of the updated guidelines and then put underneath our Title IX spot on our website. So I'll clean these up and fix the proper notations. A couple things we have coming up. That's all I have technically for the policy, but a couple things we have coming up is, and I'll ask the board to kind of go through our handbooks, because our handbooks will be updated here in the spring, both elementary, high school, middle school. Start working on athletic handbook, all of our handbooks, make some tweaks. We are getting some professional help with some of our handbooks. That's in process now. But again, I think the more eyes on something, the better. And so if you, and again, this is part of the thing I said about time, it takes time. Just glance over them if you would, if you see anything glaring that we can share with the principals or things you might think, hey, we should update, we should have this in there or take this out of there. And again, they're living documents, so although we may approve a handbook in May for the next year, we can also approve it in June and move forward with it if anything we do change. We do have some legal counsel looking at some of our handbooks right now to make some adjustments, and before we make those, we'll share them at the policy committee. Any questions on upcoming handbooks or policies that will be on the agenda coming next Thursday night? Okay. Does anybody have any questions or any guidance? I know it's a short meeting. I just, where we get these updates, they come from our the School Board Association, PSBA. The stuff that comes down legally, and they filter them through our board docs. So that's where we kind of get what's updated. So we can look at things, and we'll continuously look at some of our, and we do have some policies that are older that I'll start pulling up and getting through this a little bit. I guess we can talk COVID if we want a little bit. That kind of goes with our policy, and one of the things that we should let everybody know is, we're working real close with the Department of Health, and any kind of change that comes down from the Department of Health or PDE, we make those changes right along with that. The COVID situation encompasses a lot of time from administration, teachers. The contact tracing alone is very, very time consuming, especially if classrooms are involved, school buses are involved, multiple classrooms could be involved. And so right now, just to let everybody know, we are at 3 in the high school, middle school building. 4 would be our top of our threshold. And again, they're not connected. They're not. It's a middle school student, a high school student, a staff member that floats between the buildings. And so it's important to know that our custodians and our teachers are doing a great job trying to mitigate all these things. I can't say enough about how our parents and our kids, our numbers in school, in-person attendance. We're looking at, for last week, the elementary building, which is K-4, was about 75%. Now, it's funny how as the grade goes up, the attendance drops a little bit. I was in a kindergarten class last week, and all but one student was in the class. And it was a real neat experience to see them. They're all sitting there, masks up. It was just, the teachers have such a routine down and doing a great job with trying to mitigate everything you're doing. And kids want to be here. Those little guys want to be in school. High school, middle school, again, that's grades 5 through 12. We're at about 55%. Now that 55% is mainly 5th, 6th. Once you start to hit 7th grade, it's a little less. 8th grade, it's a little less. High school, we're probably sitting around 25% of the 9 through 12 being here. We are encouraging high school students to be virtual, as Dr. Levine asked us to do. So, we'll get through these next, I think these next 2 weeks are going to be telltale weeks of the Christmas holiday. We'll start seeing we're hoping not to see too many, but that's where I think we'll see any kind of growth if we do. Get through these couple weeks, And then I'm hoping our numbers drop across the nation, across the state, and locally, so we can get back to a little bit of normalcy, and we're not, teetering on the edge of going virtual all the time. But for right now, we're like that. Elementary school, we have cases 0. Our website, which I can show to our right away has a COVID pop-up. This has been great. And I want to thank our parents because they go to our website looking for help, and it pops up right on there, and it says, if you have anything, please call me. It's my direct extension to my office, and if you leave me a message, that message comes on my email. It's great. Or people have been emailing me. So this was a good thing, especially over the holiday season. You go to our COVID page, our numbers has all our COVID information, but you can see our up-to-date positivity cases on campus. 3 total in the high school, middle school building, and the threshold in that building's 4. The threshold in the elementary K-4 building is 2. Before we'd have to close down for a few days. Send an email out to staff today, just sharing these numbers with them and telling them to be ready. He asked the parents to be ready as well. Any questions regarding COVID number tracker or anything on practices we're doing with the COVID? Okay. Let's see if Mr. Davis, do we have any questions popping up at all yet?
Mr. Becker, there are no public comments or questions right now.
Sounds good. I'm going to pause till 7 o'clock until we start. Okay, sounds good. Mr. Davis, can you pause until 7 o'clock?
Yes, we're gonna pause right now, and to the people out in the public, we'll be back at 7. Mr. Becker and the school board, we are all on live now.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to our Facilities and Finance Committee meetings. We'll start with facilities. And again, Mr. Tomkavage isn't with us tonight. I don't think we did send him an invitation, but I think he is there. Yeah, welcome, Scott. Good to see you on tonight. Just a couple things we wanted to talk about. Security cameras, NRG, and Mr. Davis can talk about this a little bit too, if he can chime in. We currently have about 94 cameras on the facility, which to me, being here when there was no cameras to having 94 is a phenomenal thing. We can see lots of places, and you would think with 94, there wouldn't be many places, we would need more cameras, but we keep talking administrative, oh, we'd like to have one here and let's see this part. So we're going to keep working on that. But, you know, that came out of our PCCD grant. And Mr. Davis, I don't know if you want to talk about how they, you know, NRG was here over the holiday. And
yeah, I'm going to break it down a little bit further. We actually now have a total of 99 cameras district-wide. And I'll just give you a quick breakdown. Out of those 99 cameras, 42 of them are in the elementary, and 12 are kind of in the middle school. I kind of classified them because they're specifically middle school halls or doors. And then 45 are in the high school. And then out of those, we have 62 interior cameras and 37 exterior cameras. So with phase one of the grant Mr. Becker just referenced, we got 8 cameras out of that NRG had put in for us over the last course of the year, calendar year. And then phase 2, which they just completed over Christmas break, they added 25. So again, we're at 99, as Mr. Becker said, a lot of areas covered. We have a lot of good spots in our parking lot, our high traffic areas, our cafeterias. We now have 4 cameras in our elementary cafeteria / gym. But there are always some areas where we could still add some more, and we'll continue to explore. But again, 99 cameras for our district's a pretty good accomplishment.
Second thing here is security gates, and come through again the PCCD grant. We ordered 6, and it'll be mainly for this building, the secondary building, mainly to lock it up for extracurriculars. That's the biggest problem we have. So that'll help secure the building, especially during extracurricular times when we have a lot of people here. We don't have a lot of fans these days, but in the future we plan to. Next thing is the flagpole. The flagpole has been fixed. It looks great. Zartman Construction did it, and we did get a bill for that, about a little over $4,000. And it really does look. It looks great, and it's good to have a straight flagpole. That's right there. Project reports. That's what I have. I would like to give a shout out to our snow removal crew. We had that big snowstorm in December, and then we had another smaller snowstorm, you know, coming back the first day back on the 4th, which is, you know, kind of goes with the whole COVID theme. First day back, why not throw a couple inches of snow and ice on you? But they did a nice job. You know, Joe Danilovich, he's our lone healthy maintenance guy. He gave us a quick training on plowing. I'd like to thank Chris Kreischer and Clay Farringer, who stepped up and helped us out. And we also had some custodians, Jeff Davis and Mike Bropes did a nice job help cleaning the doorways and the walkways. And, you know, without them, we wouldn't have had this place cleared. They did a real nice job both times getting this cleared up and getting us in the building. So I want to thank them publicly for their efforts. That's all I have for facilities. I know Scott's on here if he wanted to chime in at all, and not, I understand, before we move on to finance. Okay, finance portion of this. First thing is on the 21st, Larry Kopp from the Borough of Catawissa will be joining us to talk about the local economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act. And I shared his information with you guys and his presentation, so you kind of look at it beforehand. So if you have any questions regarding what they planning to do, now what they're asking us is to give some tax breaks to property owners to try to revitalize the town. In the long run, it's a win-win because the property owner gets a tax break up front, and then we'll get taxes at the end. But there is some years out on it. So Larry will be here next Thursday night, and again next Thursday night is our board meeting because of the holiday on Monday the 18th. We pushed our board meeting to the 21st on Thursday. Okay, I'll turn the next one over to Mrs. Kreischer.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the grant and funding that's going on right now. So the year grant, and Mrs. Snyder did put something in the Friday information for you in the Friday letter, but she's going to pop on here and kind of explain it to the public. So are you here, Deb?
I am here.
Okay.
So the GEARS grant is a special education mitigation grant, and that $14,545 to be used towards compensatory services for special education students. In order to determine who is eligible for these services, the teachers conducted baseline data collection during the first 2 weeks of school, and then right around Thanksgiving, they compared that data with current benchmarks and determined which students, continued to show significant or not recoup the skills that they had prior to the COVID break. So we will be able to use that funds to provide some to those students. Also for students who may not have been able to have access to some of their related service providers or instruction throughout the year due to lack of tech or internet. So at this time, the $4,000 salaries, $5,545 into technology, $3,000 for curriculum, and it's important to note that this has to be supplementary curriculum. It cannot supplant. So this has to be something in addition to what we are already doing, and $1,000 for professional development. So once things, calm down a little bit and we'll be looking at providing these services most likely either after school or during the summer.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thanks,
Snyder.
Jen.
You're welcome.
The second grant is the Sr2 Grant. Now you may have seen with passing of federal legislation with COVID emergency or COVID funding coming down our schools. Now this is an estimate. We haven't really received a whole lot of information on this yet. They are pushing for, as Jen talked about, the GEARS grant is trying to address gaps in learning. That'll be a big push for us. We'll have time into next year to spend this money, but we'll be looking at using this money a lot in the summer and probably next year to address loss in some of these kids, in some of the students' learning. How that looks, I know we've had some after-school tutoring in the past. We've also done summer programs in the past. So this would be a great relief for us to offer our kids some extra time that they've lost, and try to make up some of those gaps. So more information will come from them. The MERC grant was was written by the foundation, but through the school, we were able to get that laser engraver, and it's pretty nice. Myself and Mr. Routon went over to Bloomsburg to look at their shop right before the holidays, and we were telling him what kind of engraver we were getting. He was jealous. He showed us his, but he was saying yours is top notch. And I said, well, we got it through Grant. So we're excited about that. We've done a lot of the prep work. We ran electrical lines. We took out a window and put a panel in with an exhaust fan. So we're ready to go. Expected delivery, we're supposed to be in January, got pushed back to February 2nd. So as soon as we get that laser engraver in, we have a spot ready and we're ready to go. Okay, and the Highmark grant, again, that's $3,000. That's for COVID relief, and we did get that money from
Yeah,
Highmark.
we received that. We just don't have it earmarked at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is Kreischer.
Okay,
Budget
we're going to go to the budget update. If you click on the, wait a minute. Oh, I think I might have attached the wrong one. Give me a second here.
Hey, Jim, while she's working on that, do do you have an updated with our COVID relief money and different things like that? Do you have an updated list of anything that we have left from that? Or is that all accounted for and gone by now?
Most of it is accounted for and gone. Now, Denise and I will put some numbers together for you and give you a spreadsheet. So you have that. We can probably have that for the Friday letter, I would think, Denise, because we have talked about that. But yeah, we've you know, a big portion of it went to you know, starting our own cyber school, which was a fairly big expense, K to 4, and then you know 5 through 12. So that was a big chunk of it. But those 2 grants that we got, the CARES grant and the safe and security, I know I'm saying the grant wrong, school safety and security grant, one for 202, one for 176. We've used a lot of that for PPE. We've used a lot of it for you know, again.
Yeah, I remember we used a lot of it. I just was curious on where we were with it, whether we had used all of it or what we were down to or anything like that. And I know you had it earmarked for things that were set up throughout the year. Like I said, I was just curious if I know Denise had a chart before, a spreadsheet before, showing us where we were and how much we had left and things like that. It would be nice to see in a Friday letter.
There's a quarterly report due this month. So this is when I actually will update that chart, and I'll be sharing it with you. Friday letter here, probably, I'm trying to think, the 20th is, I think, the date for that report. So it might be about that time or shortly thereafter.
We'll have it for you before the next board meeting. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, so now you might have to refresh to bring up the correct change thing. I had added something else that titled the same thing. Anyway, the budget adjustments that I made for this time. So one of the items that ever since I've been here and prior, never really populated tuition and reimbursement expenses that are in the contract. So say if an employee wants to take a college class and they can ask to be reimbursed. We've never really populated it. So what I did was I did a study of the tuition and just went through that back to 15, 16. And
which tab is that?
I don't have it
Okay.
in there. I can share it if someone wants. You want me to?
Yeah, you want to know.
Okay. So anyway, the highest amount over from 15, 16 through last year was $43,100 or $44,000. So I put in the $43,100 as our base number to start with. And the reason I've done this is because in the past, there's been not much of a cushion, but a little bit of a cushion, and I have pared it down so far that I feel uncomfortable not now populating this line item so that we are prepared for it. So that's my reasoning behind that. So you can see the categories here that I've populated just looking at what I've done in my study. And let me get back to.
Do you want to share?
I will, yep, as soon as I get back here
Let me unshare.
my Teams.
I'm gonna make that Teams window full screen. It's a little better.
I can maybe bring this up to a second here. Okay. So this is just the study going back like 14, 15, I don't remember, it was 15, 16, I think I said, but 14, 15, and I just went through to kind of see where we were at, how much we have paid out in tuition reimbursement. And in 2021, that's where we're at right now at 15,400. So I kind of just did an average, and then I estimated up. Okay. All right. The next thing on that list was the other retirement plans, which is the annuity payments that are in the Act 93 contract. And those, I had told you last time that I was going to be adding them because I had missed them when I was reviewing the budget. So those are also now added in there. This week we also had a meeting, technology meeting, just going over what changes would be in that department personnel-wise. So Mr. Roberts has indicated that he is going to be retiring. And so we're looking at how we're going to replace that position. And so we would be putting that position back into the AFSCME contract. That would be the low person on the zone pool. Chris Medin would then bump into the other one. So those are the changes personnel-wise for that department, just because of a retirement. Our recommendation is to replace the position with this. I don't feel like at this time we could go down a person with the amount of technology that we have added here. I think
Which tab do you want me to show?
I'm on the bottom one changes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you didn't have that up. There we go. Okay, so those are the changes for this time. Now, I also gave in that content area, I gave you the PDFs for the 0 index increase, all the way up to the 3.9, as we had been talking about all along, so that you could see. And so these are all updated now with those changes. I also broke out, if you see down in the expenses, the purchase services 400. I broke out the VOTEC future payable. That's the amount that we're saving for, just so it was easier for everyone to see that particular line item broken out of there. No changes to the revenue at this point. And then I did down here in the capital projects under fund transfers, I populated back to 75,000, accounting for 50,000 for turf replacement, because that would be a capital project, and then 25,000 for other projects. As we did this last year, we did 25,000. So just trying to start to save that $50,000 that we had talked about, and trying to, you know, keep that our eye on that turf project as well. So you can, you know, look at each one to see where the deficit is. Now for a zero, it's at 578,000 for that one. The next one would be a 3% index. The deficit goes to 312,000. If we would go to an index of 3.5, it's 200 and, I think I can't see that. Oh my God. 267?
267, 477.
Okay. And then the 3.9 is 231. About 232 actually. So that's currently where we're at. We still have a lot of the revenue numbers to come in. And we'll be having an executive session because we also have negotiations coming up, some other considerations. That way. So we'll be discussing those types of items in executive session tonight. Now,
Denise,
yes.
a real quick question. Group health insurance. How does our group health insurance go down 150,000 or more?
Okay, that went down because we changed plans. We went from Highmark to JHP.
Uh-huh. And we
So,
did that in 20 to 21, and that's 2 million, and then it looks like next year's is 1.9. I thought they had agreed on like a 3% raise or something like that.
let me look at my spreadsheet. Give me a second. Something.
Not that it's going to make our number any better. I mean,
Yeah. Hang on. Yes, I'm gonna have to close some things. I have too much open right now.
While Denise is looking for that, I can talk to you about the audit contract, which would be for this current year. This will be on the agenda in an upcoming meeting here for our auditor. And so you guys can take a look at that and read through that. These guys have been our auditors for a while, if I'm right, and doing a nice job with that. That would be the audit contract for this coming year. That'll be on the agenda. You guys can read through that. If you have any questions, you contact Denise or I.
While we're waiting, do you have any public comment that we can knock out?
Mr. Vogt, at this time, I do not have any public comment.
Okay, I can see, I missed the dental, vision, and the group term life in there. So let me just see here.
Maybe it would be a good idea, Denise, to just update that and then put it on the website for us.
Okay, I'll send it.
That'd be great. Thanks, Denise. The other thing is are we accounting for some of the losses from attendance with the athletic transfer of 384 for next year instead of 324? Or is that just a typo?
In which?
The athletic transfer is down towards the bottom in the 900s.
60K higher.
It's 60K higher for next year rather than 324 straight across the board. I didn't know if we were accounting for lost revenue from this year or if that was just like I said, a miscue.
No, it's not. If you go up to the top of the page, you can see athletic gate revenue there. I have 0 in the 2020 or 21, 22, and then 22, 23. I'm adding the 50,000 in there again. So we know that the general fund is going to have to fund part of that revenue.
So is that where the 60K comes in for 21, 22?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, one of the things we have to decide for the next meeting, let me get back to some things here. So I want to go to the board meeting calendar. And so we're right now at January 11th. So we've been talking about the proposed preliminary budget and I that benefit area. So for the next 21st, the board meeting, we will have to decide whether we're going to do an opt-out resolution, which will say that the district is agreeing not to increase taxes above the index of 3.9. If that's the way we decide to go, we do the resolution and then we move on into just updating the budget till we get to the proposed final budget and just keep, making our changes. if we decide that we want to have the option to do referendum exceptions, then we will do a resolution authorizing display of the budget. So we just have to make sure that we, continue to think about that, because that needs to, we need to start advertising around January 25th. So I would be asking for an answer to that, start advertising to have the budget on public display and get it entered into the state system for the display. So we would start advertising January 25th. I will again do budget adjustments based on some meetings that are coming up and decisions that are going to be made. And then the February 15th, we would have a board meeting. And at that meeting, we would present the proposed preliminary budget, and we would adopt the budget. So that would be our timeline through February.
Now, with the, if we do the resolution authorizing, the budget display, and that kind of gives us options. So it doesn't mean we have to take the options.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so what happens when we do that? So we go through that whole process, and once I enter that, after the deadline passes to have it entered into CFERS, the state comes back to me and says, yes or no, you can apply for exceptions. You qualify or you don't, based on the entries that we put in. So.
And in the past, we've gone this route.
Yeah, we've always gone this route. The last couple of years, we have not qualified. In the years that the retirement jumped by a larger index, we qualified because it was a lot of extra. But since it's been moving in smaller percentages, we have not qualified. So, but not to say,
Back on the budget projection.
Which one do you want, Josh?
But it's fine. Yeah, that. The equipment line 700. I don't know if you spoke to that or not. The jump from 176 to 260 from this year to next year's. Down at the bottom there. Equipment 700.
Let me try to bring it up so I can see it bigger.
Yeah, I don't mean to harp, but the athletics. So we're assuming next year we're not going to have anything coming in from the gates.
Well, I think how do I back this up? So
I'm sorry. Go. You answer Josh's question, and I'll wait.
So this 176,244 was last year's number. This is the new number for this year. Yeah. I can get you the breakdown of that if you want to see.
Yeah, it's 90K. That's
where it's coming from in each budget.
Is that in those aggregate sheets or in those detailed sheets already that we're supposed to have access to? The ones that were everybody.
No, I don't think you have access to particular.
Okay, yeah, please,
so,
please, if you could.
Yeah, I'll break that down for you. Yep.
Just because it's a significant jump.
I'll put it in your Friday letter, and then we'll address it again at the board meeting for the public.
Okay. A few meetings ago, we had the gentleman from the roofing company attend as well.
Mhm.
Are any of those projections or numbers included anywhere in here?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
Denise,
Yes.
why is line 250 unemployment comp expected to be significantly higher? Did we get a reduction in that last year? You have it going from 30 to 69?
Let me just look at something. I want to just make sure everything's the same. I think it's the same calculation. I'm gonna have to look at that one again too. I'm not sure. I used the same amount for last year, so for each person, that's a flat amount. The only thing I can say is unless I have the formula wrong and it's I'll have to check that one as well. I'm sorry.
When you revise all that, can we get this exact same layout you have, whatever you're using? Don't make any special, just in Excel.
Sure.
So that we can quickly click.
For salaries, the way I have it is.
Just this.
Oh, you want this in Excel?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Just this setup. So I assume this was made in Excel and just.
It is.
Save us
It
to
is
that.
connected to a lot of other spreadsheets. So,
Okay.
We can cut it out.
Yeah.
Can I have the other spreadsheet here? Or not?
maybe.
You don't have to post them publicly yet, but just
Yeah.
if
I can share them with the board.
you can
sure.
put them in that, that,
Yeah.
whatever, the Microsoft version of
Yep.
Drive that we use.
Yep.
OneDrive or whatever.
I can do that.
That'd be great.
Yep.
That'd probably answer a lot of my questions instead of playing this game on the spot. See
Okay.
what you can remember off the top of your head.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll have to make a decision on where we wanna go with the budget, for the preliminary budget. Now, again, it is a big decision, but it is preliminary, and it does give us options either way, from 0 all the way up to 3.9 plus exceptions.
Are we even gonna qualify for any, Denise, that you feel,
Probably not.
I mean, what's the point? We didn't qualify the last couple of years, why would we even? I mean, it's great if you think we're gonna qualify one, yeah, you keep it in your back pocket, but if you don't think we're gonna qualify, why?
I agree. I don't want to speak on behalf of the rest of the board, but I'm not interested in pursuing greater than the index limit for any.
Okay.
I'm
And again, we
actually
don't-
feeling the same way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know the options are there, opens windows, but again,
I mean, if you want
I
to have
agree.
both resolutions prepared,
Yeah,
the
we can.
language for them, we can debate it at the
Okay.
actual meeting, but
either way, we're fine. Okay,
Real
so
quick, before we move on, back to Drew's question about the gate revenue.
But yeah,
So I had gate in there for this year. In the calculating that we would have a gate, not knowing that we wouldn't. So just making up that ground, but we don't have to.
I'm just thinking as I'm fine with making up the ground. I just want to make sure that any of the gate revenue that does come in, if by happen chance it opens up next year, and all that any kind of gate revenue that we do get next year, that it's accounted for and it's not given, just out freely or whatever, because we don't account for it. It has to come into the general fund.
Well, the gate does not come into the general fund. The gate gets deposited into the athletic fund, and then that offsets the transfer. So we start with a set amount of a transfer to the athletic fund, and then I transfer money as we need it. So we may or may not need it, depending if we have sports and if we can have a gate, if we can have normal games and ticket sales and all that kind of thing. I was just preparing for another year if this immunization stuff doesn't go well and we still are in the same situation, but we're still holding sports, that we would be set for that.
Okay. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure that if it does go, and I'm fine. I'm a doomsday planner. I'm fine with, as long as we can keep it at zero, that's fine. But we just need to make sure that it's accounted for at some place, that we don't get lost with it.
And after the board ponders all these things and decides maybe we'll want to shrink that amount too. I mean, we could do that. We don't have to put that full amount in. We could shrink it, just realizing that at some point, if we do have the full, all the expenses are there, but no gate next year, that the general fund is the vehicle to fund the athletic fund. So you just have to be aware of that.
Denise,
Yeah.
I know you're not able to update that group health insurance number, but do you have a rough idea of what that actually is, or were you not able to?
It's going to be closer to, hang on, because it's dental and vision and the life insurance, which isn't near as much as the health insurance itself. So it's going to be between closer to what's going to be in the 21, 22 amount. Let me get back there to my. So it's probably gonna be maybe 2,080,000 something.
And that's gonna change all the other projections then too, right?
Probably,
Because
yeah.
that's separate.
Yep. It'll increase those slightly as well. Because I'm projecting healthcare to go at 9%.
I have another question while we're poking at things here.
Sure.
Year to year, the jump in retirement contribution, line 230, from 21-22, that budget, to 22-23.
Mm-hmm.
It's a significant difference compared to.
If you go up to line 18, row 18,
Yeah.
Those are the state projections going forward. So I was using those
0.356.
too.
Two.
Yeah. These are the projections.
Yeah, that's right from the
from
state.
PSERS,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So just a board, as we're looking at this 3.9, which would be the max within index, and we're starting at minus 230, and knocking off, going another 170 getting added to it. Health insurance, right about minus 400 to start. Some of these other questions may make that go back up a little closer to zero. That's pretty rough start. I don't think any of us even want to raise to index.
Yeah.
I don't either, but how do you make that up?
Don't have a choice at this point unless you can find, I don't know how you find 400K.
We'll continue to dig, continue to look, evaluate everything.
Jim, is there anything that you see that could be put off that doesn't hurt us that much more in a following year, such as in capital projects or equipment?
We don't have any capital projects. We can absolutely look at equipment. In fact, we did some of that this year with some of the grant. We have some grant money coming in. You might be able, now when I say equipment, it was technology equipment. We were able to extend our one-to-one program down to through third grade. So we're possibly use some of grant money to purchase, but we have to understand this grant money is one-time grant money. But yeah, we can look at, that's why I said about looking at everything. And again, this is a budget and preliminary. So as you remember, we worked through last year and I learned a lot. We start looking and trimming and Denise did a lot of, one of the words, I think Josh used the word fluff a little bit, and we took some of that fluff out. And part of it was, that fluff is what Denise is using a line item for the teacher tuition. So we put that in there so we can see it. It's real now. So that was a good thing. So yeah, we're going to start looking at all that, Josh, and we could possibly, these numbers, could work in our favor. We have to start making those numbers work in our favor.
Hey, Denise, that number that benefits the retirement number that Josh was talking about, does that go off of the salary and wages, the percentage?
Goes off. So you take that and you multiply that number times just the salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you come up with that.
So it doesn't go with the salary and wages. Yeah, that 9.3 million or whatever.
The gross amount.
Okay. The number for this year, you might want to just double check that retirement contribution for this year. I think that's what's throwing us off, looking at a 300, almost a 300K increase, over a $340,000 increase from 21-22 to 22-23. I think it might be closer. This year's one might be off a little bit. I might be wrong, but it just looks like this year we only go up 50K, and next year it jumps 340K.
It should be 3284.
Yeah, that's what I got. 3284-47134, something like that. That's like I said, I just check that number. I'm sure it probably is an equation that's on the spreadsheet.
You're talking about the retirement?
Yeah, 230.
So if you take the salary for the projected budget multiplied by 0.3495, you shouldn't get 3,091,000. You should get 3,284,000 for this coming year.
check that formula.
These are all coming from other spreadsheets, so
It's more complex than just
yeah, it's,
multiply this number of.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, and I kind of figured that it was just a
that's all my
equation, but that it makes more sense with that much of a jump because we're only, we're not going up all that much more than what we went up this year, or this current year to next year, and that looked like only a $50,000 one, and then we go to a $340,000 one. I see where Josh was looking at, but it would make more sense. It'd be more of a level incline then.
Let me check the number because I have to look at each individual.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
And who doesn't qualify for retirement as well. That's another piece of that.
Just put a little asterisk by it to have just to give it a look-see.
The PSER's state projection increases at a faster rate as well, Drew. From if you just, it's like a 1% increase to next year, and then more than that, but not by much, but more than that for the follow-on too. It's more than a 1%.
Yeah, every year they come out with a new, like around December, I think it was in December, we got what the rate was going to be. So what the actual rate is. Sometimes it's slightly lower, slightly above. So these are just beyond the 21-22 are projections.
Yeah, Josh, I see what you're saying. I mean, this year it goes up, 0.44. Next year it looks like it's going to go up at 0.7-ish.
Yeah, the percentage in just that multiplier increases by 1.3% this year, and then by 1.9, almost 2% the following year.
Another, just going back to the group health insurance. So that can actually fluctuate up or down depending on who is taking insurance as well. So just thinking off the top of my head, I know there's a position that we had in the budget last year that we don't have in this year because it's being, it's a contractor. We have a contractor in that position this year. So it might not all be dental, vision, and light. It could be that someone is waiving, more people are waiving since the budget was done last year as well. So I'll check all that just to make sure. That,
Hey, that'd be great, Denise, if that was the case. I just wanted to make sure that because it's strange. Every other expense goes up, and it was strange to see one that went down. So that's what caught my eye the most with that. Every other expense that we could ever imagine, it always goes up. We never seem to see cuts.
Like the 2021, that is the budget that, from last year that we're working on, that we're using now. So I had data to kind of do that. And then this one, I actually have data based on what's going on right now. And then every year out after that is just projection based on, those years. Just, it is a little confusing to kind of wrap your head around that, but I actually, in the first two columns, I do have data to work with that I, know to be true now. So, and the year before would have been data that I would have known to be true then. So.
And
I'll look at all those areas just to make sure that I'm doing okay.
and then we'll get the updated documents out to you guys in spreadsheet form so you can plug and play. The audit updates.
So we're finishing up the 18-19 audit. We have 2 items we're still working on. There'll be a single audit for that, which is actually an audit on a federal program, and they haven't chosen what they're doing yet, which federal program they're going to do yet, but they will be on campus for that one. in about 2 weeks, we'll be starting to submit all the data for the 1920 audit. And my goal is to have that audit finished before the end of the school year, so that we'll be back on schedule from our.
Why would they come to campus? That there should be no need for outside.
It's only
people.
one. It's one person. They come on campus. They're in the boardroom, and I'm the only person that they speak with. So
They look for hard copies of stuff.
yeah, it's
Records, check student records sometimes, depending on what federal program they're looking at.
I'll be honest with you. We've done this audit, the 1819 remotely, transferring documents back and forth, and it's so difficult because you can't even imagine how many times I look at those documents that they now have and I don't have. So I'm not a big fan of a remote audit. It's difficult because we research all the time, you know, looking at detail information. We have information in our FIS system, but often you're looking for contacts, you're looking for, you know, detail information. So I'll be the first one to be happy when the auditors can come back on campus. It's much easier to do that. But that's where we're at. Okay.
Any questions from any board members? Mr. Davis, do we have any public comment?
Mr. Becker, at this time, there are no public comments.
All right. Then let's get to the executive session.
All right, give us a second to wrap this up, folks. I'll let you know when we're off air.